Ewen McQueen. I think I knew Ewen McQueen, or at least came across him initially, when he was working with either the New Zealand Initiative or Business Roundtable. I can't remember, but it's a long time ago. And anyhow, a particular think tank that was involved in New Zealand. And this goes back, when I was working for Radio Live. But he really has a passion for history. And over the last 3 decades, he's been a political, historical, cultural, social commentator. Probably I'd have to say of a conservative bent, it would have to be said. He's written for a number of newspapers, written a number of opinion pieces, insights, and so is widely respected as one of those commentators. That you can make a job out of it's remarkable, but good on him. He holds an MA Honours in Economics from the University of Auckland. He's worked in the health sector for many years. I didn't know that. He lives in Mount Eden, Auckland. He's just published not just, I was given it in March, that's how slack I am, this book called One Sun in the Sky. I'll hold it up for you. The Untold Story of Sovereignty and the Treaty of Waitangi. And he says that the Waitangi Tribunal, or in the blurb at the back, has declared that in the Treaty of Waitangi, Māori agreed to a dual sovereignty partnership in New Zealand. The chiefs understood that the governor would have authority over Europeans whilst Māori would retain full sovereignty over themselves. But is this true? What does the treaty actually say? One Sun in the Sky presents an evidence-based perspective on the question of sovereignty in the Treaty of Waitangi. And Ewen McQueen joins us now. Ewen, lovely to have you on. Thank you so much. And I guess you've been waiting for this interview for a while, given that you wrote to me in March.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I see you've got one.
We've got really bad connection. So he's just going to get your connection. I think he was agreeing with me. But we're just going to get Ewen back on an audio that's better than you can hear at the moment, because there's a problem with your audio. Yes, he wrote to me on the 14th of March. At home. It was delivered to me at home. That's how dreadful it is. Josh, are you sorting that out? Yes? Oh, you're getting him up now. Okay. All right. Actually, just quickly on that before we get... Oh, no. Oh, sorry. I'm sort of trying to do 2 things at the one time. Are you there, Ewen? No? The vagaries of modern technology. See? You say things are improved and everything like that. All right, Ewen, can I hear you now?
Yes, can you hear me now?
Oh, that's much better. Now, I was chiding myself you wrote to me on the 14th of March. It's taken me until, the 14th of November. Oh, gosh, we work quickly. We could almost be a government department, couldn't we?
Well, you could be, but I mean, maybe you were just spending so long enjoying the book, Michael.
Yes, that'll be it. Now, listen, the reason that you're here today, obviously, is with the hikoi and everything like that. And with the Prime Minister clearly suggesting that the Treaty Principles Bill is going to die in a ditch somewhere, and as quick as it can die, the better. You've written this book which challenges the very concept of the hikoi. Can you just take us through some of the documents and the conclusions that you've reached from reading those documents relating to this issue? Sure.
So the book is, as you said in your intro, it looks at this whole notion of the modern interpretation of the treaty, which is that the Waitangi Tribunal confirmed this 2014 as being the establishment view, that in signing the treaty, the chiefs did not agree to give up sovereignty. They only agreed to allow the governor to govern Pākehā settlers, and they retained full independent sovereignty over themselves. And they said at the time that on the basis of the evidence they could come to no other conclusion. Well, I thought to myself, what is that evidence? And I read the entire tribunal report and really couldn't come up with the evidence. In fact, I expected a smoking gun because they were so clear about this was the only conclusion they could come to. I said, well, where's the smoking gun? And it said, I just found smoke and mirrors, frankly. There was a lot of information that wasn't relevant to the question. There was a lot of scholarly opinion, so-called, that again wasn't related to the question and wasn't related to the historical evidence about the treaty and how people understood it at the time it was signed. And so, I figured that's a very important issue for our country. I think going forward we need to have good race relations based on truth about our history, not just based on what is fashionable at the moment. So wanted to get that out there. Didn't seem to be much out there in the way of people talking about the historical evidence. I figured, well, I'll go and dig it up, and that's what I did. Dug up a lot of evidence that was pretty clear that in signing the treaty, the chiefs understood that they were indeed coming under the preeminent governing authority of the Crown, what you might otherwise call sovereignty. And yes, their chieftainship would be protected and respected, but it would be so within the context of the overarching sovereignty of the Crown over all New Zealanders. And, that is the position that history supports, but is not the position that is being forwarded today.
I'm interested that most of the historians sort of delved into this area. I'm thinking of Vincent O'Sullivan, I'm thinking Claudia Orange. You would have read them as well. Others who've moved into this area. Yeah. Belich would be another one. Come to a different conclusion and a much more what I call traditionally liberal view that obviously has been reflected in the Waitangi Tribunal judgment.
Yes.
Why do you think they were wrong?
Well, I've read Claudia Orange, I've read Ranganui Walker, and both of those are pretty seminal writers in terms of starting off this whole paradigm of dual sovereignty. I call it the dual sovereignty paradigm. But they didn't actually provide evidence. They tended to make statements and assertions on this particular issue of sovereignty without providing evidence. I mean, I remember well reading Ranganui Walker's book, Struggle Without End, and he was probably one of the first to make the statement that, there was this dual sovereignty arrangement, and I thought, well, that's interesting. What's your basis for that, Ranganui? Turn the page, and frankly, he'd moved on. He'd turned the page also from the issue and gone on to talk about something else. So in reading these people, I didn't find strong historical evidence for this. It was really just an assertion. And the thing is that what you find sometimes in scholarly circles is that one person says something, somebody else repeats it, a third person quotes them, and it becomes accepted conventional wisdom. And it is not necessarily connected to the historical realities of what happened at the time. So in this book, I really wanted to get back to that, and that's why I went to source documents. I went to source documents like William Colenso's notes about the signing of the treaty. I went to people's journals, what they wrote at the time. I went to the transcripts of hui meetings and what chiefs said at the time, letters that they wrote to newspapers at the time, not just around 1840, but in basically the decades that followed, to see how did the chiefs actually understand the treaty. And when you look at that evidence, it's really hard to come to any other conclusion than that they understood the treaty as establishing Crown authority over all New Zealanders, and their chieftainship would be affirmed and protected under that authority, not alongside it as some sort of equal governing authority.